Hello and welcome to another episode of ARTO Insights. I'm Elliot Payne, one of the co-founders of ARTO. Now I'm joined by Harry Sloan. Harry's been with us nearly a year now, and he specialises in the commercial space in the CDMO market. Harry, you've gone from high-performing elite athlete playing the highest level in rugby, and then obviously you've come and now worked for ARTO in the recruitment industry. How have you found that transition, and why recruitment compared to other areas?
Yeah, so I wouldn't say it's been a complete straight line. There's been a lot of ups and downs, and I think that's kind of been a strength over the last year, kind of learning from those mistakes. So coming from a high performing background, there's a lot of different strategies you have to go along. So you've got your accountability, you've got your preparation, you've obviously then got a part of your talent side as well. You've got to have that combination of everything in order to kind of succeed. And, coming into Arto and going into the business development route, I'm dealing with a lot of candidates and clients who are actually very similar to,
Oh, really?
the sporting teams. Um, they're in a high pressured environment where results matter, accountability matter, preparation matters, but it's also about building those long-term relationships.
What skills and maybe lessons from that elite world do you think you've been able to sort of ingrain into the one you're in now?
Yeah, so my career was, up and down. If I wasn't on the team shoot on a Tuesday, I was gutted.
Yeah.
But I always knew there's next week, there's my next chance to get in the team, there's the week after that, there's the next month. So you go through a lot of disappointment and you go through a lot of success, and it's all about how you kind of handle those two prospects. It's the same within business development. There's a lot of CDMOs out there competing against each other. But the ones who are gonna win those clients for the future and have those multi-million deals are the ones that really invest their time and break through the resilience barrier of rejections, of learning what the customer's need is, and kind of projecting that success, not just for one deal, but for the future 2-3 year deal. They're looking at the bigger picture. They're not just looking at that one-off deal.
You said obviously when you were in rugby that if you weren't picked on Tuesday, do you think that you inherently deal with failure quite well if you consider failure not getting picked, for example, or not winning a match, and that's just put you in good stead for a job where there's going to be a lot of that sort of rejection rather than failure, I suppose? Or has the rugby industry taught you how to deal with it?
So I've gone at it in two different reactions. I was a 20-year-old kid playing for Harlequins. I was breaking into the first team, and then all of a sudden I wasn't in the team. We had a big signing, a centre from a Lions player.
Oh, really?
Unbelievable. I threw my toys out the pram a little bit.
Yeah.
And I learned the hard way. That is not the way to deal with it. As I got older, a bit more mature, I realised, right, this guy's got, 15 years experience. It's brilliant for me to learn from him and really take out exactly what he's learned and why he's got to where he is now. So I learned so much more from being like, I want to make myself better to make sure that when I'm next time in this position, I keep my spot. And that really helped me grow.
Have you used that sort of curiosity and willingness to learn with people that are in industry? So when you're talking to sort of CCOs or CEOs of the companies you're working with, how have you taken that on to learn maybe more about your industry or how to get to the top of their game to support other candidates? Is that something you've done naturally, do you think?
Yes, it is something. Like I said at the start, there hasn't been a straight line. I've learned a lot within this industry. So BD professionals within the CDMO space, they need to build long-term relationships
100%.
because these biotech and pharma companies, they're trusting these manufacturing companies with their baby at the end of the day. And these relationships take, up to a year in order to kind of get these deals across the line. So I think it's really important to have a real understanding and build a trusting relationship with these CCOs, with these CEOs, in order to get a full understanding of what they need and where I can potentially add value. It's not about selling the wrong idea and lying. It's all about having a trustworthy relationship.
Obviously, when we went to CPHI, it was an amazing experience, especially your first sort of conference. But did you see that sort of salesmanship or BD professionalism more so when you met all of those CDMO leaders out there face to face?
Yeah, you've just got to realize, like, if you're speaking to a business development manager or if you're speaking to a CEO, we're all human at the end of the day. And in our industry, we're not selling products.
Yeah.
We're selling humans, aren't we? So the emotional factor does come into play a lot of the time, especially, you know, when we're getting to the end game of, you know, deals being done. It's really important to just, you know, take a breath, take a step back and realize, you know, this person's got a family, this person loves the sport, there's loads of things you can connect about before and build that trust in that way before getting into the nitty gritty details of what their success looks like for them in order to build out their team and what success looks like for them in order to do well in the market at the moment.
You've had a lot of success in building teams from C-suite level all the way down sort of mid-level there. In that experience, what have you learned that hire managers look for beyond that industry experience or sort of market knowledge with these CDMO sort of BD professionals?
Okay, so you want to have the right combination of commercial acumen and technical understanding. If you don't have that combination and you feel like you're a genius within the scientific side of things, you're not going to do well. You've got a lot of people around you to support that. What you've really got to understand is the commercial side as well of the business. You've got to be an expert in which part of the manufacturing cycle they need. So everything from preclinical up to commercial. So when approaching, you know, these companies, it is really important to know what their pain is. So you need to know exactly where their manufacturing capacity is needed, and you need to be able to deliver on it. If you're just trying to fill up your pipeline with as much business as possible, but you can't deliver on that, then they're the CDMOs that haven't been as successful, and they're the BD professionals that haven't been as successful. If you have a real trustful and truthful conversation about where you can facilitate these biotech and pharma companies' needs, that's where you see the most success. So it does come from trust, accountability, and you still need to know a lot about your market. You can't just go in as a true salesman.
Definitely. In terms of then, again, I'm going to relate it to rugby. So with sort of restrictions financially with rugby clubs compared to maybe football clubs, they've got to sort of get a lot more out of their squads, their players than ever.
9 operations.
9 operations. So where I'm going with this is the pressure to succeed as a rugby club. Is there similarities to a CDMO? And what I mean by this is the war for talent. Because in football, you can get the best player and some of the bigger clubs can just pay an extortionate on the wage. However, rugby clubs can't.
No.
And typically in most life sciences industries, most companies all have the similar bracket as to where they're going to be hiring CCOs, BD professionals, exec directors. So therefore, culture and the vision of those, is there similarities you've seen between that pressure to hire the best talent?
Yes, I do see the pressure, but yes, you're right. Like the disparity between football and rugby, and a lot of rugby clubs has struggled. The rugby world is a way smaller world than people think, and everyone knows everyone, and reputation is a big part of that. The CDMO world, despite going to Frankfurt CPHI and seeing how many, you know, companies there are actually,
it's insane.
Everyone seems to know everyone. It was crazy. It's a way smaller world than people think. So at the end of the day, people talk, don't they? So what's important is that day in, day out, you're going about your business in the right way, because that's what's going to build you the right reputation. And it's very relatable to what they do and what we do as a talent acquisition partner, because companies will work with you once you've built that relationship and that trust over a period of time. And the reputation part comes in as well, because everyone knows everyone. So if you've got a mate who's going to put in a good word for you at another company, who you've known from conferences, you've been competing against, but you've gone about things in the right way, you're going to have a much better outcome. And I guess that's the same with rugby. Like, I went from Harlequins to the competitors, Saracens, and, you know, I didn't leave Harlequins in a bad way. Left it in a good way.
Nice.
And, you know, when I went for my interview at Saracens, it was pretty plain sailing.
Yeah, obviously, you're such a big face-to-face consultant, and you've travelled, and I think CPHR was a big eye-opener for you. And we're a sales professional working with sales professionals. Is there anybody that sort of inspired you or stood out to you in the market so far that's like what you're saying on the value perspective?
Yeah.
You know, that you think, okay, that's someone I'd love to work with, or someone that it's just really inspired me.
Yeah. First of all, I had so many great meetings at CPH. Right, everyone was so welcoming, and working with a lot of existing customers, and hoping to branch into new customers. And I guess there was one me and you went to actually. There was a great booth called Siegfried. Great company.
Yeah,
Do you
what a
remember it?
booth! Yeah,
Yeah, I know. Great coffee as well. I think it was on the last day.
very last meeting, we got asked to leave.
Yes, we
it
did.
all shut down,
Yeah.
and halfway we got asked to leave. Yeah.
Yeah, and we met the CBO there, Marianne Spain. She's coming to the end of her career at Siegfried. She's been with the company for years. And as a recruiter, you love to see someone who's got that longevity in a company. It was a shame I didn't get hold of her earlier. She would have been quite easy.
Her personality was so infectious.
It was unbelievable.
Like bringing people in,
She was brilliant. She was you put her down as the queen of Siegfried almost. Everyone had an ultimate respect for her, and who she is, but also you could see that anyone's able to go up to her and have a conversation, no matter what level you are with them.
I think about 15 people during our chat come up to her to say goodbye and gave her a hug.
Yeah.
Not just at Siegfried, but other organisations.
Exactly.
And so it's probably the most stop-start meeting we had.
And it's those kind of memories that really ingrain, don't you? Because it's a combination of, wow, she's been amazing in her career.
Yeah.
And two, she's also a great person.
You can see why.
Yeah, exactly. And then we also got introduced to the new CBO, Peter, who's got a really good vision of where the company's going. And, Marianne's been great apparently at, helping Peter on that transition with Siegfried if she's on her way out and he's the new big boss. So, it's a really exciting time, and they're a company that's got a tremendous amount of opportunity and growth over the next few years. And it's definitely a company I would love to get in with in the future.
I think what stood out for me in learning those two is that obviously it was a crazy pit week. And so we were the very last meeting at the very end. Take that aside, what I found with both of them, I don't know if you agree, but from all of the noise that was going on, and there were others like it as well, but obviously these two stood out, it's like the world stopped.
Yeah.
And that we were like the most important people.
Yeah.
And they gave us their full attention, their body language. So that for me is something I definitely took from that, as to just how open and warming they were.
That ultimately is what success looks like for a BD professional.
Yeah.
Because if you can make them feel like they're the only person in the room and they've got their undivided attention, you're going to be able to deliver on what they need. Yeah. If you don't have that, you're just going to be another salesman in their books. Yeah. And, that really, you're right, that really did stand out for us.
Yeah, great people.
Yeah, great people, great booth.
Shout out to Marianne and Peter. So obviously in this competitive space, which modalities have you seen the most success in? And if you were a BD professional now, looking at their career, what advice would you give them as to how they should position themselves?
Okay, so we're seeing a lot of success at the moment across advanced therapies. So your cell and gene, your biologics, advanced injectables. But I guess the right way to go about it is not chasing what's hot. It's about understanding the manufacturing cycle. So that's from early development, tech transfer, up to commercial.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, modalities go through different ways of success, throughout the decades.
Yeah.
That's completely normal. Cell and gene were really struggling, the last couple of years. They're always going to be needed and it's always going to be around. So we're now starting to see a bit more of a spike, a bit more of an investment. But it's important not to just chase what's hot. It's important to understand what stage of the manufacturing cycle you can help with, from early development all the way through to commercialization.
Have you seen, when obviously dealing with executives, etc., that the people that have sort of made it have stayed within like a silo, or they've branched and they've done like several modalities and they've worked their way to the top and they've got that range, or is there a mix of both?
So a lot of CDMOs now are trying to be more across various modalities.
Yeah.
It's really tough to pin that down on success and failure, because I've seen manufacturing facilities that really concentrate on one niche and then they're the go-to.
Yeah.
They're like, right, we know exactly which CDMO we're going to because they know exactly what they're doing. Companies who have a bit more investment, a bit more manufacturing capabilities, a bit more of a global presence, they are able to branch out into different modalities as well. But it's all about investment at the right time. So if you try and do too many things at once from an early stage, you're not going to get the clients you want. But once you become more established, then you start going down different avenues. You've got to have that core go to what your company is about. And then after that, that's when you can start to branch out.
Yeah. So for someone maybe earlier on in their career,
Yeah.
looking to establish themselves and grow as a BD professional, what is maybe the standout piece of advice you'd give them?
Most standout piece is going to be quite simple. Relationship first.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's
Agreed.
so underestimated. You can be a technical genius. You can be a wizard on the computer and the IT skills. Might not great, in all honesty, but you need to be able to build relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you won't be able to succeed.
Great. Thanks for your time, and thank you for watching another episode of ARTO Insights with Harry Sloan. Again, if you're interested in working for ARTO and becoming a niche specialist like Harry, then please feel free to contact anybody at ARTO. And if you're enjoying the content that we're providing out there, then please subscribe to our YouTube channel. I really appreciate it. All the best.